So my story is about the never-ending Bitcoin energy story, but with a fresh new twist. We often hear about, proof of work protocols leading to move to proof of stake to save energy, or we hear about the need to ban proof of work outright, or we can, levy some taxes. But have we thought about doing something else, like introducing lasers to improve mining machine efficiencies? Shout out to Mike Myers and Dr. Evil. There's a group of developers out there who think that optical computation, which is using lasers instead of regular transistor microchips, can decrease the amount of energy Bitcoin has to use while maintaining its security properties. And this isn't actually as off the wall as you think.
We put that together in time.
What in the... Wow.
That is amazing.
I set myself up for that one. I requested
a much more handsome
lasers
Dr. Evil, if you ask me.
I'm getting dragged for it. Thank you. Thank you, Control.
I kind of don't like that. Can we take that off the screen?
Let me never see this ever again. Thank you.
Please delete.
Anyway, this isn't as off the wall as you think. Engineers have been talking about how lasers can make computers more efficient since my dad was in school. My dad's an electrical engineer. So this theory is at least sound. And there are a lot of things at play here. And I really want to hear what Will has to say after I kind of get through the main ideas. The main idea behind moving to what's called optical proof of work, or OPAL, is that the total amount of money spent on mining Bitcoin right now is split up between operating costs, so electricity mostly, and capital expenditures, which is like the machines that go into it. Right now, those costs are kind of split up evenly, but with OPAL, the capital expenditure piece of the equation would go up, since these are super sophisticated machines that largely don't exist yet. And the electricity pool would be much lower. The idea is that it would make mining more accessible, less energy intensive. It would therefore improve the longevity of the Bitcoin network, given how hyper-focused everyone is on the energy conversation. I actually lean towards skepticism on this, but this acts as a reminder, at least to me, that Bitcoin is a living, breathing animal. And although it moves very slowly in comparison to the other cryptocurrencies from a technological perspective, it still moves. I mean, we got Taproot, guys. That allegedly does stuff. Allegedly. Anyway, I want Will's thoughts, again, like I said, because he's the guy who lives in the mining world. He probably has some smart stuff to say about this. Take it away.
Yeah, disclosure, I work for a mining company. We have nothing to do with this, though, because it is very speculative and also still quite deep in the development stage. So right now, it's just a BIP, a Bitcoin improvement proposal. Basically, it's just, hey, what if we did this to Bitcoin? Maybe we could think of a way to make Bitcoin better on some sort of front. You don't see very many BIPs associated with mining, just because that is more or less been baked into the network at this point. SHA-256 is the encryption algorithm that Bitcoin operates on top of. And we could go into a side discussion about what that is, but the main point of it is that SHA-256 is more or less not going to change unless there became a large consensus within the Bitcoin community that it was unstable or they need something else. That's where something like OPAL comes in. And it's very interesting. And just like you were saying, George, it shifts everything from a capital expenditure, which is buying machines, and the operational expenditures, which is purchasing electricity, all into the CapEx side. So you're having to buy these machines that you don't really have to spend that much energy over month. That obviously helps out with the ESG concerns, but it almost just flips the question back onto the CapEx side in this idea of electronic waste, which has really popped up in other areas, right? If we're going to make all these machines, you're going to be using them, and then at some point they're going to go bunk. They're just going to turn into very expensive bricks. That's a waste of resources as well. So it just shifts the question a little bit in my mind's eye. I do think that there are some interesting things about this proposal that are noteworthy. I think for one, it's interesting that they're tinkering with how Bitcoin settles transactions. That's always something that's good to think about, how do you make this Bitcoin protocol more secure? And two, the fact that you can adjust what the trust settlement layer uses for the work in proof of work is important. So the proof of work aspect, in order to settle transaction, you need to do some work to show that you're not spamming the network. If I could just send Zach 1 million transactions every second for free, pretty soon his phone wouldn't be able to it wouldn't work. There'd be too many transactions. He wouldn't be able to get through all the backlog of notifications. But if you associate some work with it, then I can only send so many transactions and he can get along with his day. Same idea here. We're just shifting the work from SHA-256, this encryption algorithm, to some sort of magical laser setup, which I don't fully understand either. It's just shifting the work. And that's, at the end of the day, a question for the Bitcoin community. Do you want to shift that work to something else? And what are the trade-offs associated with this? Zach, I want to throw it back to you and get your take on it, though.
Oh, my take, I want the odds on this. I'm gonna toss this to George. George, is this gonna happen? What's the likelihood that this happens? Who are the sort of forces that are advocating for this? Who are the forces within the network who are advocating against it? Give me just a lay of the land as it relates to whether or not this thing could come to pass.
I think Will might agree with me on this. It's probably something that closely resembles zero. I would say the OGs, the powers that be in Bitcoin are sensitive to change. And if you're going to change something that has been the pillar for what builds, holds Bitcoin together, I doubt it happens. The people who are, the proponents of this are the people who created it, and then maybe a small subset of people. Luke Dash Jr., I think, is one of the devs who's kind of in the camp of let's do this, but you see a bunch of other devs who are like, there's just no way. There are other problems we need to deal with. I would give it something that's close to zero, but it doesn't mean that they shouldn't try, right? If I put a BIP in, it's not going to get approved either, and you don't see me trying. So good on them for trying to do something. Let's start a conversation. It's great. Bitcoin is a technology. So let's do it. But this was actually an article that I wrote for Mining Week. So you guys should go to CoinDesk.com, check out all the cool stuff we're doing here on Layer 2. Got some awesome stuff. There was a great photo essay by a couple of my colleagues. You guys should check it out. I'm sure Will would like it.